Slacker here. Welcome to my second installment on Swingin' the Blues. In installment 1, we covered some of my favorite Duke Robillard passages and ideas over a mid-tempo swing blues in B-flat. Here we're going up-tempo in the key of G, inspired by some of the playing of a great modern blues player by the name of Igor Prado out of Brazil. Highly recommend this guy's playing, great sense of feel, time, and in full disclosure, I don't remember exactly where I took this piece. I think it's a kind of a combo of a few different solos I might have been listening to. But anyway, the purpose of these segments that I'm doing is trying to find bite-sized chunks, like 2 chorus solos that are easily digestible, kind of lead to new ideas that kind of have a whole host of seed ideas, and really kind of open the doors towards developing new ideas from them. And I thought this was a great passage that I put together from a number of his ideas. So I highly recommend his playing. In this series, we're going to be going back to early players from the early 20th century all the way up to the present. Basically, wherever I can find a solo that I think really kind of busts open some doors. And this one I thought definitely qualified. So if you're interested in the full, this is a sort of a preview of the full lesson package. In this, I'm going to break down and teach you, go through essentially the nuts and bolts of what's happening over the first chorus in this solo, which you heard on the intro. But if you're interested in the whole lesson package, that includes tab for both choruses and a bonus rhythm segment, which is tabbed out, all broken down. So probably about 60 minutes of video in total, although I'm just recording this now, so I don't know. So it's going to be a lot of material happening, and interactive tab player where you can slow down and loop a section, backing track, like 4 to 5 minutes of just the track minus the guitar, a video of me just playing both solos alone, slow, so you can really get the stuff under your fingers. So that's the whole lesson package available on my site, link below the video. But let's get into solo 1 here, and I'll outro this video with the rhythm segment to give you a taste of that. So hopefully you'll like it. Basically, we open with a G6 chord, and I'm playing a Strat. By no means is that also, I'm just digressing, essential for this piece. I just like the sound, and there's a lot of guitars that are going to sound good over this, but I think a Strat on the neck pickup and a little Ibanez tube screamer through a good tube amp with some Fender tube amp with some reverb is going to get you there. So that's kind of that for that sense of sound. Open up on a G6 with like a... So we kind of opens with a stab and almost like a head figure. And that G6 is happening between the 3rd and 5th frets. Coming down from the D string down, we got our 5th fret of the D, major 3rd on the 4th fret of the G. Then we have the 6th, the E note on the 5th fret of the B, and then the root on top on the 3rd fret. So we kind of play a quick stab like that, and then dampen the strings by picking our fingers up. And then we have this nice trill, minor 3rd, major 3rd. It really kind of throws the ear a little, because you're really spelling the key characteristic of, you're playing with the key characteristic of the chord, not defining whether it's major or minor. So we have this real major sound here, and then we have, and then we go root to the 6th, 5th fret of the G, 5th fret of the D string, to the 2nd fret of the D string. So here's that whole segment, right? More time. Okay, and then after that we come back to the root into a double stop. So let me just play through the whole first idea, and then we'll break Yeah, and then we'll put it all together. Okay, so once we get to our sixth, we come back to our root on the 5th fret, and we play the root, 8th note, rest, another root, and then we have this double stop, which is a hammer we're borrowing the 3rd fret of the G and the B, and we're hammering onto the 4th fret of the G string, the major 3rd, right? So here's the whole thing, the whole first idea. Okay, idea 2, very similar, except it resolves on the 6th rather than that double stop. So here it is. Okay, and one thing, there's kind of this like kind of ghosted slide that's happening on both. So on the double stop, it's like, so it's real subtle. We're just doing it, and we're kind of sliding a bit on that G string, but we're almost, we're almost off the chord. We're almost, our fingers are almost stopped fretting the notes. So just gets a little thing. And same with the, just kind of gives it a little something extra. So that's basically phrase 1 and phrase 2 over the 1 chord. Let's play them both again here now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, as we transition into the 4, we're looking at a stab on a C9 shape, okay? And this is with the major 3rd in the bass. Typically, with a kind of this style of playing, you play a C9 with the 5 in the bass, and you would dampen the A string. You can do that certainly for this. You get the big meaty chord in there as well, but in this segment I chose the little fragment. So it's your choice. So the fragment starts on the 2nd fret of the D string, and then the ring finger bars the 3rd of the G and the B. Okay, and basically goes from the 3rd, the 7, and the 9 of C for the 4 chord. And then we have our trill happens here now, thinking relative to the 4 chord, the C. We have an A to a B flat to an A trill. So that's 6. The 6th of the 6th degree of C is A, so that's the 6th. Then we have the flat 7, which is B flat. Back to the 6th. The 5 to the major 3rd. So same basic notes, except for the trill being a half step down, but the same basic notes as on the 1 chord, but different scale degrees relative to each chord. So let's look at that whole 4 chord riff here. Okay, and so on this one, rather than doing a hammer-on that gets that B note in there, we don't want a B note in there because that would be the major 7 of C, which would be just sort of a weird note in blues. So we're basically going to a double stop on the 7 and 9 of C, so the 3rd fret of the G and B strings. Here it is again. Now again, we have that kind of sort of ghosted slide off. Okay, so let's play the whole thing through so far. 1, 2, 3, 4. and then we go to the second riff over the one chord to, that's the next thing that happens. Okay, taking us into our turnaround, 2-5-1 turnaround. But I'd like to digress because this is such a great little passage, and it kind of spells so many of these characteristic sounds. It's really good to transpose that into a different place. So if we look at like a G6 here, where we have the 6th in the bass, 9th fret of the G, the root, and then the major third, root on the 8th fret of the B, and the major third on the high E. Okay, great little chord fragment that we see a lot in this style, and if we use that, it gives us some sense of moving the ideas here. So let's look at that. So we'd play a stab there, and then we would do the, basically an octave up. We'd do our trill, which would be 6, 7, 6 frets of the high E, which is flat third, major third, flat third, root to 6. Now, you could grab the 6 here too, but I prefer to grab it here. Not right or wrong, just preference, Okay, there's that slide back. Right? And then for our 4 chord, we have a nice C7 here that basically we take our G6 shape, we just drop our first finger back a half step. Boom, we got a great, interesting sounding C7 with the major third in the bass, the 5, and the 7 on top. Real kind of gritty chord, great for comping. All those little chords really add a lot to the sound and don't clash with like what the bass player is doing, or if you have a keyboard player. They're just nice tight little chords. So anyway, so we got okay, and then we have our hammer-on pull-off, our trill off of the A, same thing, A, B flat, A, but an octave up. So, okay, and then back. Okay, so just good thing to transpose the riffs. It really just opens up the neck and gives you new options depending on where you are and where you are within a solo. So that's it. Now let's look at the turnaround. It's just a little digression. Great turnaround, basically outlining the minor 2, 5, 1 change. So we have great sounding, basically an A minor arpeggio, but we're adding in the 9 and the 7. So we're kind of sliding in from the 6th to 7th fret, which gives a nice sound. It's like, because it's that melodic minor sound almost. So it's sliding in from 6 to 7. And then 5th fret G, 5th fret B, that's being the flat third to the 5. Grabbing the 7 on the 8th fret of the B string. There's the 9. Grab the 7 again. 5, flat third, root, major 7, flat 7. Okay, great turnaround, great riff, Can also be fingered this way. And I would recommend learning it that way too, because depending on where you are in the context of the guitar, it's going to help you. So sliding in here instead of with your ring finger, with your first finger into the 7th fret, and then grabbing the 10th fret with your pinky, 9, 8 of the B, 7 of the high E, and then just come right back down. Basically this nice arpeggio here. Okay, and then perhaps maybe my favorite moment of the whole thing happens over this stop. The beat stops and you have this great, riff that kind of walks us back into the downbeat of the 1 chord, for the next measure. So what is that essentially? And it's basically outlining, we're going 2, 5, 1. So we're basically outlining the 5 now. We've done our 2. So we're sliding into the 7th fret of the A string with our ring finger, which is the 9 of the 2 chord. And then we're picking up, so very jazzy sound already. And then there's the root of the 2, which is a D note on the 7th fret of the G. So here it is, 7th fret of A, 5th fret of D, 7th fret of G, chromatic down to the 5th fret. And then a great line, right? Just going chromatic down now from 6 to 4. So 7, 6, 5, 6, 5, 4 of the G string. Great riff there. 5th fret of the B, quarter step bend on that 3rd fret of the G, and then we have that trill again. Okay, so here's the whole thing. Into the downbeat of the 1. Now you could add a little grizzle to it if you wanted to pick further back on the neck. Right? That gives it a little bit of a out of phase kind of sound. I'm playing on the neck pickup because I like it's meaty, but to give a little other kind of character with it without switching pickups, you can do that. Sort of nastier sounding. So that's really it. Let's cover the whole turnaround again, just so you have it, and then we'll outro with the rhythm piece. So here we go. The 2-5-1. 1, 2, 3. Cool. I hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, feel free to hit me up here or on my website. And I hope you subscribe if you like this sort of thing. There'll be more coming out. And that's it. If you're interested in the whole lesson, check out the link below. Otherwise, I hope you groove out on the rhythm piece. Take care.